Hey guys, what's going on? So I just wanted to give a little bit of an aftermath following all of these fights today. So starting with boxing, really an exciting fight between Zhang and Wilder, ultimately getting that 5th round knockout. I think Zhang is really going to be a problem for the heavyweight division. I think this really gets his name out there even further, and now I think there's a lot of options for who he could fight next, and I really would like to see him eventually get a shot at the title. You also have Daniel Dubois over Hrgovic winning the interim IBF title, so Dubois is also up there for the title shot. And I think what's really interesting about the heavyweight division right now is you also have Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker, and now we also have the confirmation of the Fury and Usyk rematch in December. Also on this card you have Bivol getting another knockout, also getting that confirmation of his fight with Arthur Beterbiev in October, so I think that's really great. But going back to the heavyweight division, I think there's so many different matches that you can make. Most likely you're probably now going to see Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua. I think that could be a huge fight. But really, what would you do then with Zhang? Maybe you could do the Parker rematch. You could do a Hrgovic rematch. I don't think that would be necessarily the best option in terms of excitement, but it does make sense. Instead, you could do Zhang versus Anthony Joshua, which I think would be a really exciting fight, but I don't think we're quite there yet. If Zhang did go ahead and fight Anthony Joshua for whatever reason, you could get Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker. I think that would be an excellent fight, and both of them haven't fought each other. Another option I think would be really interesting and would be maybe just a little bit more exciting too, would be Joseph Parker versus Anthony Joshua. They did fight before Joshua beat him, but I think the second go at it would be more interesting because Parker is just a really different fighter. Would still be an interim title shot for Anthony Joshua, whether he faced him or Dubois, and I really like Zhang versus Dubois as well, but probably you're going to get Dubois and Joshua, so I'm not sure exactly what's next for Zhang. And then following the Fury Usyk rematch, I think that's where the winner between those four, being Dubois, Joshua, Zhang, and Parker, is going to be the next one in line. But the thing is, if Fury is able to edge the rematch, you're probably going to get a trilogy before anything else. And then going over to the UFC, starting with that co-main event, I thought Sean Strickland had a pretty good technical performance, ultimately getting that decision win over Paulo Costa. And I think now really that rematch with Duplessis makes the most sense, given it was a pretty hard-fought battle before, was a split decision. And since Sean beat Israel Adesanya, it really makes the most sense for him to get that rematch for the title. And I still think for Israel Adesanya, him against the winner of Whitaker and Chimaev would be a really interesting fight regardless of who it is. Obviously, Chimaev I think would be a little bit more exciting because we've already gotten Israel and Whitaker before. And then for our main event, Islam Makhachev getting that submission in round 5. I think it would have been great to see the fight go the distance, but still an exciting fight. There was some back and forth there. Even though I thought Islam was still in control, Poirier was able to land a few shots of his own and cut Islam pretty significantly. And I think really the thing about this fight is leading into it, you had a lot of the talk about it being Dustin's last title fight or his last opportunity for the title, and it was maybe going to be even his last fight in the UFC before retirement. I'm just not too convinced on that. I think if Conor McGregor was able to pull off a win against Michael Chandler, I would be really surprised if Dustin Poirier wouldn't take that fight to properly finish their trilogy before retiring. Who knows, maybe if Chandler won, then he'd just go ahead and stick to that retirement, because I don't think a Chandler-Dustin Poirier rematch would make much sense. And now I think what's next for Islam probably is going to be Arman versus Islam. I think that's a pretty interesting fight. I do like Arman, but I think Islam's probably going to get another title defense. And really just looking a few steps ahead of that, what's really left for Islam, don't really see a whole lot of other opportunities. I think what would be really exciting if he went up to face Leon Edwards. I think that's a mega fight, and I think it is a tough fight for Edwards stylistically. I think that could favor Islam, but it's really just the weight concern. And then you have that 2-inch height difference. But just in general, there's a lot of interesting fights. So feel free to let me know your thoughts and what you think is next following all of these outcomes. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you later.